going to a musical stage production next, which I can't wait. I'm like super excited to see it because it just begs for it, I think. So, you know, hopefully Southern California 2020 is when the world premiere is going to occur. This summer he performed in an off-Broadway cast of Camp Morningwood. Wood seems to be a trend in his life or something. Nudity and wood, I don't know.
You get what you take. I take anything that's offered my way.
That works. And then other credits include Naked Boys, more naked. Naked Boys Singing in Las Vegas and LA. Tony and Tina's Wedding. Okay, there we go.
Fully clothed.
Fully clothed. A little bit of clothing there from Vegas. Pageant the Musical in Miss Deep South. A Chorus Line. He was Mark. America's Got Talent. Disneyland and Walt Disney World. That's when they fired him because then they heard the song from this about the Disney whore, right? No. And then Sesame Street, of all things. So,
I actually was doing Naked Boys Singing when I was cast in Sesame Street.
Awkward.
Yeah, that was a little... I had to do a gear change there.
And kind of one of the coolest little known trivia facts here that you probably didn't know is that he actually has written his own children's book entitled, Have You Ever Tried to Stop the Rain?
I get fearful what you're going to say. I don't know what's on this sheet. I'm like, oh.
He also likes long walks on the beach, knitting. No. So, but anyway, so I'm excited to have my Oprah Winfrey, well, Jerry Springer moment up here on stage with you. So tell me, where did the inspiration for this movie come from?
Actually, I was performing in Naked Boys Singing in Las Vegas. And I'm like the biggest geek ever. I don't go to clubs. It's just not my thing. If someone wants to do something fun, I'm like, let's go to the theater. Let's do, let's go to Disneyland. I'm like, that's what I do. But when you're doing a show and they do promos and publicities, wherever they go, you go, you know. And one of the things is they had us go to a club, and there were go-go boys, and there were pole dancers, and all kinds of stuff, because they were celebrating our 100th show in Vegas, and they were doing this big celebration. So I went there, and for the first time ever, I actually saw like Go-Go Boys not in a movie. And I was floored, and I said to my friend, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're not very good dancers. I'm like, technically they weren't very good. He goes, well, that's not really what they're casting for.
Not the reason they're there.
And he said, but my friend said, but if you want, he's like, I know the guy in charge. I can get you a little side gig if you want to come in and do that. And I said, oh, no. If I were to be a pole dancer, I'd be swinging around that pole like Gene Kelly and Singing in the Rain with my little tap shoes on. And I just chuckled, and I thought that'd be such a funny idea for a short film. And then a little bit down the way, I just decided, I saw a movie that was really, really bad, like horrible, and I won't say the name because that's rude.
Showgirls.
And I said to my roommate who I was watching with, I said, that's the worst movie ever. And he goes, well, why don't you write your own? And I said, I could. And so I sat down and I came up with that. I went back to that initial idea of that person who shouldn't be in a strip club swinging on a pole. Ooh. And I decided maybe that could be the premise. We have a musical theater guy who's trying to do the stripper thing, and then someone else going the opposite way. So I was on America's Got Talent, I got cast on that with a video submission, and so that's how the video submission came about. So it was kind of just a gag that I created this, and then it got bigger than I anticipated.
So sort of autobiographical.
Yeah, the biggest
inspiration.
The biggest far-fetched thing is that I was in a relationship ever. That's the part you really have to use your imagination for. Everything else is way more true to life than it should be.
Now you just got me cracked up. Okay, well, what was your favorite part of filming? What one scene, what one moment while you were doing this did you sit back and go, holy crap, this is awesome?
Well, I would say the actual Shirley Jones.
Woo! I can see that.
And I think for different reasons. We had a Broadway diva lined up who became ill, and who was truly my idol in life, and became too ill to film. So we had finished filming, and we didn't film the last scene. We edited the entire movie together, and it was maybe 10 months later. People are like, Jeffrey, you need to finish the movie. But you know when you were so passionate about something and nothing kind of lived up to your energy. And so then I'm like, no, wait, we do a tap number. So finally I started to approach people, and then Shirley Jones came on board. We were thrilled to have her on board. It was really exciting. And so it was kind of nice because it was just one day. Like we had filmed, it was about an 18-day shoot. But this was just one day on its own, so we weren't exhausted. It was just exciting, and that's all we filmed that day. We had her for, I think we had her for 6 hours, and we had to teach her the dance, record her vocals, do the choreography,
so not a lot, just a few things.
And at that 6-hour point, she was getting back in the car and leaving, regardless if we were finished.
That's exciting, though.
So it was exciting, but we weren't tired, which was also thrilling. So I think that was nice because it was one day. The whole film shoot, of course, you're stressing about tomorrow. Are people going to drop out? The very first scene was Sally Struthers, which I would love to...
That had to be crazy interesting.
I would love to say that was my favorite thing ever, but it was the most scared I've ever been because we contacted her, and I contacted her agent, and her agent said, because I had Lee Merriweather had already committed to the project, and I called, and I'm like, how do you tell someone you want them to play a sperm bank reception?
That always comes up in conversation at dinner.
Like, hi, I've never made a movie. I want a sperm bank receptionist from your client. Just as bad. But I really wanted Sally Struthers, and I don't know. I've never seen All in the Family. It was. What? I know. Don't judge. But I saw her in a production of The Drowsy Chaperone, and I was suspicious, and I'm like, this woman is a brilliant musical theater performer. I want her in my movie. People are like, you're not going to get Sally Struthers. I want to get Sally Struthers. And at the same time, my production team says, cut the scene. We do not want the sperm bank scene. And I usually am a team player. I love the sperm bank scene. I love it so
amazing.
much. And they said, if we film it, we're going to cut it. So I said, okay, I need a cameo for the sperm bank receptionist so they don't say cut it.
Make somebody famous enough in there with iconic enough momentum.
I said, I need it. They can't cut it. And so
Plus, with all the money they invest, they might as well use it, right?
So I contacted Sally Struthers' agent, and I talked to her on the phone, and I'm like, it's a very funny part. She's a sperm bank receptionist. I'd love to send over the script. And she says to me, Sally's a very busy woman, and hangs up on me. Like she hung up the phone. So that means move on to most people. That means to me, well, now how can I do a follow-up on that? So I sent an email thanking her for taking my call. And,
sort of.
And offering Sally the part, attaching the script, and saying, oh, I can't wait to hear. About 6-7 weeks went by, and of course, a lot of agents don't even communicate with the actors, which is very sad. So, of course, we had to start looking for another cameo so they could keep this scene. And then I get a phone call. No acknowledgement of who it is. Sally said she'd do it. But there's a few requirements. She has to film 2 weeks before production. And I'm like, who? What? Who? Like, we had been going through hundreds of actors casting. I'm like, Sally who? And she's like, Sally Struthers. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Backflips, whatever you need.
We didn't have production ready because Sally Struthers needed to film early. So I remember calling and like, do you think we can do this? Do you think we can just do this scene early? And they're like, well, you don't have enough time. You have to do a full thing early. You can't just do Sally. So we planned one day with Sally Struthers in the scene in the office, any scene in the office. And then, and that was our very first day. And then we had a 2-week break before we actually started filming the rest of the movie. But that wasn't fun. I was so stressed out. And Sally, they don't have good communication sometimes, agents. Sally we were told she's bringing her outfit. She's going to come hair, makeup ready. She comes in and she's like, oh, I was supposed to be ready because, they don't give them the memo. And it's our first day, and I'm like, oh my God, where is everyone? But that was my first day on set. And the first day ever filming as a producer, being in the movie, I was so stressed. But at the end of the day, I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's awesome, because usually I can talk from experience here. That first day of production sets the tone.
I know.
For the entire rest of production, whether it's going to be tense or stress. So it sounds like having that comedic voice may have helped.
And it was so great. And once we actually did the scene, everyone knew it was great. And no one told me to cut the scene. And I will point this out. I knew for the stage show people were going to say, you can't have the sperm bank scene, because people already said, it's just you don't have a whole set for one scene. One little scene that you could easily remove. So I did the only thing I could think of to do to save it in the stage show. There's a musical number now called There's Life in Every Cup. And that sperm bank scene is staying.
Thank God.
I'm going to run around saying, and the irony is, I tried to give my sperm to a sperm bank and they will not take it. No, because I thought, oh, I love my nephew. Even if I don't ever have kids, when I see a kid running across the street with jazz hands, I could think, that could be mine. And I'm too short for them to even look at my application. I said, how dare them? Movies are becoming too real in my life.